So, in addition to some new and exciting and having to be super creative ways to do our online rehearsals, we now are going to talk a little bit about what happens when we are together in person in rehearsal. As far as I know right now, when I'm making this video, this is July 30th, and preparation for school in what looks like now it's going to be September, but by the time you watch this, who knows what happens. Um, it's looking like we're going to come back to school in some way, possibly with masks and with social distancing requirements. So what I've done is I've gone up with Miss Owen and earlier in the summer, and we rearranged the choir room in what I think is a really creative way, where we can get anywhere between 6 at the minimum and some places 10 feet of social distancing between all the places in the room that a choir kid could stand to sing. And that expansion, of course, if you can picture our old normal of being all kind of crowded onto the risers, we could fit 110, 120, 150, like right up in the risers. But if we spread out, obviously we would have less room. So we were able to count it out and get to 60 spots in the choir room, which would, of course, leave out concert choir, women's choir, barely, or advanced treble choir, as it's called now, would barely fit in that space. And so oftentimes concert choir, maybe even advanced treble, would go into the PAC, but at least we have that flexibility with this setup. So take a look at this. As you can see here, we have taken apart the risers and slid them all the way against the wall to maximize the space. That's also going to create a back row along the top of each of those, where each top riser would be one kid. And then there would be another kid in front of them on the floor, creating, and that in that scenario is about 8 feet, and then about 10 feet between each kid along the back. And that creates a couple back rows that would stand about 36 or so. And then if we wanted to fill out the inside of the room as well, still having that 6 to 8 feet spread, then we'd make room for our advanced treble chorus or women's choir class as well. In this setup, men's choir and the beginning treble chorus or freshman women's choir classes would all fit in that setup. Now, you guys know me at this point and know that I am, to a fault, probably an optimist. So I'm immediately thinking of that new room setup that you just saw, and try to think of the positives. Think of the things that could make our choir experience even better. And maybe there are certain parts of that setup that we keep forever. So let's think back to our first few days of choir ever, right, that we've had. When we come in and we're learning how to sing and we're really nervous in choir at first, one of the first things that happens is that we're standing really close by next to other people, and we're worried about if we make a mistake and if they hear us, right? And there's a certain amount of self-judging that's going on. In that spread out format that you saw, I think that might create an environment where people have to, right away from the very first day of school, get used to the idea that they're going to have to take a nice deep breath and connect to the breath and really make a noise. Every single singer, because in that spread out environment, if you don't sing your part, no one around you will, right? Or let me say it this way, in that spread out environment, if you don't sing your part, you won't hear it. So it creates right away kind of a ripping off the Band-Aid effect that I think is going to make us better faster. So I'm excited about that.